All right, welcome to another episode of The Deep Dive. You know how this works. We take something really fascinating and, well, we dive deep. Today, we're going to be looking at Leah Lowndes' book, How to Talk to Anyone, right? It's got like 92 little tricks for just, well, for being better at, talking to anyone, basically.
Yep. And this is going to be a little different than your typical, just smile more kind of advice. We're going way deeper into the subtle things that really can make a huge difference.
Yeah, exactly. It's like having a secret decoder ring for like human interaction,
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be talking about everything from first impressions to how to like really connect with people, even like reading their body language.
Yeah.
This is like your crash course in becoming, well, a communication ninja.
Definitely. And we're starting right now with that first impression, what happens before you even say a word.
That's what's so interesting. Right. It's like in those first 10 seconds, you're basically creating I think she calls it like a brilliant holograph in the other person's mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a snapshot that sticks with them,
Yeah. And I mean, think about it. Over 80% of that first impression, it's not even about what you say. It's about how you look and move.
Yeah.
There's this great quote in the book. It's from like a drama teacher or something. And they say, the way you move is your autobiography in motion. It's kind of deep,
That's so true. It's like your body language is telling a whole story before you even open your mouth.
Exactly.
Right?
So, you got to make sure that story's a good one. And the book, it lays out this whole, formula, right? She calls it the look like a somebody formula.
Okay, yeah. Tell me more about that.
Well, so it comes from this caricature artist, Bob, and it's all about posture, head up, shoulders back, like owning the space. Then a confident smile and really making eye contact.
So it's not just about smiling. It's like how you smile.
Exactly. That's where the first little trick comes in. It's called, get this, the flooding smile.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is the flooding smile?
Well, it's not about grinning like a maniac the second you see someone, right? You actually take a pause, just a second or two. You look at the other person like you're really taking them in, and then you let this big, genuine smile kind of flood across your face.
Okay, I see. So it's like the smile is a response to them specifically, right?
Exactly. It makes it seem, well, more authentic, less like a rehearsed thing. And the book, it actually talks about this CEO, Missy, who, she used this and it actually made her seem more credible.
That's interesting. I've heard something about how women who smile like slower can be perceived as more credible, right? Like it makes them seem more thoughtful or something.
Yeah. It's like they're not just throwing smiles around, they're being intentional about it. And speaking of intentionality, the next technique is all about eye contact, and it's called sticky eyes.
Sticky eyes. I kind of like that. What does that mean, though?
It's basically about holding someone's gaze even after they finish talking and then breaking it slowly, almost reluctantly, like your eyes are, well, sticky.
That's a great visual. But, why does that work?
They did this study in Boston where people were counting their partner's blinks, right? And it turned out the ones who were counting blinks, they felt way more respect and fondness for their partner.
Wow, that's wild. So just by paying attention to someone's eyes, like really looking at them, you can actually make them feel good.
Exactly. But there is a little caveat here for guys. The book says men should be a bit more careful about how intensely they use sticky eyes with other men. Can come across a little,
Yeah, makes sense. So sticky eyes, good for building connection, but maybe dial it back a bit in certain situations.
Right. And then there's this next level technique called epoxy eyes.
Epoxy eyes, huh? That sounds intense.
It is. It's about focusing on the person you're talking to, your target, even when someone else is talking, like really locking in on them.
I can see how that would be useful, like in a business negotiation or something, right? To kind of read the other person's reaction.
Totally. Bosses use it, police investigators, even, people in romantic situations. But maybe not on a first date with a complete stranger, right?
Yeah, probably best to save that one for a little later on.
Right.
So we've talked about smiles, eye contact. What about posture?
Ah, yes. Technique number 4. Hang by your teeth. Now, before you get any ideas, this is not about literally hanging by your teeth. It's a visualization, right?
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine you walk through a doorway and there's this iron jaw bit, like the kinds acrobats use, hanging there. And you just, mentally take a bite of it. And that lifts your head, straightens your spine, pulls those shoulders back.
That's a great image.
Right.
And it really highlights the connection between posture and Well, feeling like a winner, right?
Exactly. Think about it. When you feel confident, successful, your posture just naturally shifts. You stand taller, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we've talked a lot about that first impression, but what about like actually making people feel good, making them feel special?
Yes. Part 2 gets into that. And the book talks about this idea of the inner infant, which is basically like this need we all have to feel liked and important, Like we're all still those little kids inside who want someone to tell us we're great.
Okay, so how do we tap into that?
Well, there's a technique called the big baby pivot. And this is about giving someone the same kind of attention, the same kind of smile and body language that you would naturally give to, well, a baby.
Okay, so like when a baby reaches for you, you don't just glance at it, right?
Yeah.
You turn your whole body towards it, you give them your full attention.
Exactly. And that's what the big baby pivot is all about. You give that same kind of full, genuine focus to the person you're talking to. The book has this great story about this woman, Carla, at a party. She's kind of, giving these fake smiles to these guys who are trying to hit on her. But then this cool kid comes up, tugs on her skirt, and she just lights up.
Oh, I get it. So it's that genuine, unguarded kind of attention that really makes people feel good, right?
Exactly. And it makes them feel like they're the most important person in the world, at least for that moment,
It's like saying, hey, I see you and I think you're really special. Okay, so we've talked about making a good first impression, making people feel special. What about, like, coming across as credible and intelligent?
Right. Part 3 gets into that, and it starts with this technique called hello, old friend.
Okay, that sounds pretty straightforward. What does it involve?
Basically, you treat someone you're meeting for the first time as if they're, well, an old friend. Warm smile, maybe step a little closer, make that soft eye contact, open palms, turn your whole body towards them like you're genuinely happy to see them.
So it's about creating that instant sense of connection, like you're already comfortable with each other.
Exactly. And there's actually some science behind this. They did this study at Adelphi University, and they found that when people acted like they liked someone, they actually started to actually like them for real. And the other person picked up on that and liked them back.
Wow, that's amazing. So just by acting like you like someone, you can actually create a real connection. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. It's all about setting that positive tone right from the start. Now let's jump ahead a bit to part 6, which is all about the power of praise.
Okay, love a good compliment. Tell me more.
Well, the book makes this really interesting point. Direct flattery can actually backfire. If you're just laying it on too thick, it can seem insincere or even a little creepy.
Yeah, nobody likes a brown noser. So what's the alternative?
Well, the book offers a bunch of more subtle techniques, like carrier pigeon kudos, which is basically complimenting someone through a third party. You tell someone else how much you admire the person, and it gets back to them indirectly.
Oh, I like that. It's like a stealth compliment. It seems way more genuine coming from someone else, right?
Exactly. Then there's implied magnificence. This is about phrasing compliments in a way that assumes positive qualities about the person.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. Give me an example.
So instead of saying, you look good today, you might say something like, you've obviously been taking good care of yourself. It's like you're not just complimenting their appearance, you're complimenting their healthy habits,
That's clever.
Right.
But I can also see how this could go wrong.
Oh, yeah. The book actually tells this funny story about this maintenance man who asked a woman if she used to be a model. It was meant as a compliment, but it just came across as, not so complimentary.
Ouch. Poor guy. Good intentions. But yeah, sometimes you got to be careful with how you phrase things. Okay. What else is there?
Well, there's accidental adulation, which is basically sneaking a compliment into, like, a parenthetical aside.
Okay, so like, wow, those stairs are a killer. Though you're so fit, you probably don't even notice.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, the book says sometimes people are so focused on the compliment that they miss the main point of what you're saying.
That's hilarious. Okay, last one. Got to be a good one.
This is the big one. Killer compliment. And these are, they're rare, they're personal, they really hit home,
Okay, so like, you have the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen.
No. It's got to be deeper than that. It's about some unique quality you've observed about the person. Like, you have such an incredibly genuine way of connecting with people, or you're one of the most truly honest people I know.
Yeah. That's powerful stuff. But, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Exactly. You got to follow the 3 rules, deliver it in private, make sure it's believable, and only give one every 6 months. You can't just be throwing these around like candy.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about face-to-face interaction, but what about, like, phone calls?
Ah, yeah, the phone. Well, you don't have body language to work with, so your voice and your attentiveness become even more important.
Right. It's all about those subtle cues. So what are some of the tricks for making phone calls more effective?
Well, there's a simple but important one called I hear your other line. Basically, if you hear the other person's call waiting beep, or anything that suggests another call might be coming in, you stop and give them a chance to answer it.
Oh, that's just good manners, right? Shows you respect their time.
Exactly. And then there's a more unusual one called instant replay. This is about recording your important business calls so you can listen back to them later.
Okay, I can see how that could be helpful. Like, you might catch something you missed the first time around.
Exactly. You can analyze the conversation, look for, subtle clues in their tone of voice, see if maybe you misunderstood something. The book has this story about this nutritionist, Laura, who, she thinks she lost a big deal because of a miscommunication on a phone call. If she had recorded it, she could have gone back and figured out exactly what went wrong.
That's a great point. It's like having a second chance to make sure you really understand what the other person is saying. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about meeting and greeting people.
All right. Part 8 is all about that, and it starts with how you enter a room.
Okay, so not just barging in, I'm guessing.
No. Technique 72 is rubberneck the room. Basically, you stop just inside the doorway, and you take a moment to, scan the scene, see who's there, what the vibe is, who you might want to talk to.
So it's like a mini reconnaissance mission before you launch into the social battlefield.
Exactly. And this leads into Technique 73, which is be the chooser, not the choosy. Don't just wait for people to come to you. Decide who you want to talk to and go introduce yourself.
I love that. It's like taking control of the situation, being proactive.
Exactly. And the book talks about how, politicians and even this caricature artist, Bob, they all do this. They scan the room and they kick out the people they think will be the most interesting or beneficial to connect with.
It's like they're playing 4D chess with the room.
Exactly. And then there's this great story about this guy, Chip, who, he wasn't the most obvious person to be friends with, but the author just decided to talk to him, and they ended up becoming really close. It just shows that, sometimes you got to take a chance and reach out to people who might not be on your radar.
That's so true. Okay, so we've got our target. We're ready to approach. What next?
Well, make sure your body language is saying, come talk to me. That's Technique 74, come hither hands.
Okay, I'm picturing some kind of jazzercise move.
No, nothing like that. It's about being open and approachable. Keep your arms uncrossed, legs slightly apart, a little smile, make it clear you're not closed off.
Yeah, it's amazing how much those subtle signals matter, right?
Absolutely. Now, once you've made that connection, how do you keep it going? Well, that's where Technique 75 comes in. Tracking.
Tracking, like we're hunting something.
Not quite. This is about remembering little details about people's lives, like what they had for breakfast, their kids' names, their favorite hobby, even something as small as, whether they mentioned flossing.
Okay, but why is that important?
Because it shows you care. It shows you were listening, and you actually remember those little things about their lives. It makes them feel seen and valued.
It's like you're saying, hey, you matter to me.
Exactly. And the book talks about how successful people, like politicians, they're really good at this. They have systems for remembering those little details, and it helps them build stronger relationships.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to work on my tracking skills.
We all can. And a really practical way to do that is with Technique 76, the business card dossier.
Okay, so like keeping a file on everyone I meet.
No, not that intense. It's just about jotting down a few key details on the back of someone's business card after you talk to them. Like loves Italian food or has a dog named Sparky. Anything that will help you remember them and personalize your next interaction. Oh, that's a great idea. I always feel so awkward trying to remember stuff like that.
It takes practice.
Yeah.
But the book tells this great story about this guy, Joe Smith, who sent a postcard to a potential client with a picture of a bottle of Sancerre wine because he remembered the client had mentioned loving that wine. And guess what? He got the deal.
Wow. That's the power of personalization, right?
Exactly. And finally, there's Technique 77, eyeball selling. Now, this might sound like it's just for salespeople, but it's really about paying attention to people's body language in any conversation.
Okay, so like reading their reactions, seeing if they're engaged or not.
Exactly. If you see someone starting to zone out, maybe change the subject, ask them a question, do something to bring them back in.
It's about being a good listener, right? Not just talking at people, but really trying to connect with them.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the book, and this last section is all about breaking the most treacherous glass ceiling of all.
Okay, that sounds dramatic. What's this glass ceiling? It's the social faux pas. You know, those little awkward things we all do sometimes that can make us seem, well, not so smooth.
Oh, yeah, those are the worst. Like when you spill your drink all over yourself at a fancy dinner.
Exactly. And the book talks about how, we're much more forgiving of physical disabilities than we are of social awkwardness. It's like we expect people to be socially adept, and when they're not, we can be really judgmental.
So how do we avoid becoming a social pariah?
Well, technique 78 is see no bloopers, hear no bloopers. Basically, if someone makes a little mistake, you just ignore it. Don't draw attention to it. Don't make a big deal out of it.
So like if someone trips and falls, you just pretend you didn't see it?
Pretty much. The book contrasts this with people who comment on every little mishap. Oh, are you all right? Did you hurt yourself? It just makes everyone feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is just let it go. Okay, what else?
Well, there's lend a helping tongue, which is about rescuing someone whose story or joke has been interrupted. You wait for the interruption to pass, and then you gently prompt them to continue.
Oh, that's so thoughtful. It shows you are listening and you value what they have to say.
Exactly. And then there's the buried YFM and YI-FY.
Okay, that's a mouthful. What does that even mean?
Basically, it means when you're asking someone for something, a favor or a meeting, you need to be upfront about what's in it for them.
So, like, don't beat around the bush, just be straight with them.
Exactly. The book says people can smell a hidden agenda a mile away, so it's better to just lay your cards on the table.
Makes sense. Okay, what's next?
Well, there's tit for, tat. This is about not asking for a favor too soon after you've done someone a favor.
Oh.
You gotta give it some time so it doesn't seem like a quid pro quo.
It's like you want the favor to come from a place of genuine gratitude, not obligation.
Exactly. Okay, we're down to the last few techniques. Dinners for dining is a simple one. Don't bring up stressful business stuff at the dinner table.
Okay, there's just good manners, right? Keep those work conversations out of the dining room.
Exactly. Chance encounters are for chit-chat, means, don't corner someone in the grocery store line to try and pitch them your business idea or have a deep conversation.
Keep it light and breezy.
Exactly. Then there's empty their tanks. This is about letting people fully express themselves before you try to, impart your own wisdom.
So, like, let them vent, let them get it all out before you jump in with your own opinion.
Exactly. It's like you got to empty the gas tank before you can fill it up, right?
That's a great analogy. What else is there?
Well, my Goof Your Game is about making sure that if you make a mistake, the person who was affected actually benefits from it.
So, like, turn that lemon into lemonade.
Exactly. And then leave an escape hatch is about not cornering someone if you think they're lying. Give them a way to save face,
It's about preserving the relationship, even if you suspect some shady business is going on.
Exactly. Okay, there's two more. Lead the listeners is about being the first to applaud or praise a speaker, to kind of set the tone for the audience.
Oh, I like that. It's like you're giving them social permission to be impressed.
Exactly. And then finally, the great scorecard in the sky. This is the idea that in every relationship, there's this invisible scorecard, and the person with the lower score shows deference to the person with the higher score.
So, like, if you screw up, you got to do some extra groveling to get back in their good graces.
Pretty much. And the book ends by saying that, all these little smooth moves, they add up over time. They become part of who you are and how you interact with the world.
Wow, that was a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how many little things there are that can make such a big difference in our communication. Right?
Absolutely. And the most important thing is to use these techniques authentically with good intentions. It's not about manipulating people. It's about connecting with them in a genuine and meaningful way.
So, listeners, what really resonated with you? What are some of the techniques you might try out in your own lives? And how do you think being more conscious of your communication can help you create the kind of relationships and, well, the kind of life you want?
Definitely give the book a read. It's full of great insights. And just be mindful of how you're interacting with the world. You might be surprised by how much of a difference these little things can make.
Until next time, happy communicating.
See you then.